Few weeks ago, the chief executive of Pfizer said that anyone who receives its COVID-19 vaccine will probably need to have a third dose within 6 to 12 months after being fully immunized, and then likely one dose every year going forward. We will need this because it is likely for many of us immunity will begin to wane within that time frame. The vaccine will also need to be tweaked to cover new coronavirus variants as they emerge. The advantage of mRNA vaccines like Pfizer's is they are much easier to update than the viral vector vaccines like AstraZeneca. We should still use AstraZeneca now for over 60s, but our best long-term strategy is to use mRNA COVID-19 vaccines. Long-term immunity to coronavirus does not last. We know our immunity to different coronaviruses wanes over time. Israel said, according to Reuters, it will begin offering a third dose of Pfizer vaccine to adults with weak immune systems, but it was still weighing whether to make the booster available to the general public. Our immune system is a complex network of cells and proteins that defends the body against infection. It protects the body from intruders such as bacteria and viruses. It has two parts, innate and adopted. An important part played by the immune system is to keep a record of all microbes that have attacked and defeated previously, so it can recognize and destroy the microbes, including viruses, quickly when it enters the body again. Our immune system orchestra is composed of white blood cells, the B cells, the leader of the orchestra, T cells, plasma cells, memory cells, derived from the activated B lymphocytes, T cells, and macrophages. Macrophages, these are specialized cells involved in the detection, phagocytosis, and destruction of bacteria, viruses, and other harmful organisms. They also present the foreign offenders like the viruses to the T cells and initiate inflammation by releasing molecules known as cytokines. Others in the orchestra are antibodies formed by plasma cells. White blood cells, the key players made from the stem cells in the bone marrow and in the lymphatic system. B cells from the bone marrow through the circulation enters the lymphoid organs and gets activated if they see any pathogens like the viruses and produce antibodies. These are the memory cells that form the part of the adaptive immune system. B lymphatic cells perform two important functions. They differentiate into plasma cells and produce antibodies. They can present antigen to helper T cells. Helper T cells with the appropriate receptor binds to the presented antigen, the COVID virus in this situation. Plasma cells release antibodies. These antibodies are able to bind to the same antigens as the receptor on the B cell that was originally activated. After you had the first jab from any type of COVID vaccine, Pfizer, Moderna, AstraZeneca, among others, the body response in your immune system starts cracking. The B cells maturing in the bone marrow or the lymph nodes get stimulated by the helper T cells to proliferate and differentiate into plasma cells and memory cells. The maturation of the B cells starts in the bone marrow and travels to the spleen for the final step of maturation into mature memory B cells. Memory B cells can survive for decades, which gives them the capacity to respond to multiple exposures to the same antigen, that is the virus. Vaccine against coronavirus do not prevent or cure COVID, but still beneficial. While a major achievement, none of the vaccine candidates in circulation can entirely prevent the virus from entering the body, nor stop its transmission, but according to a new computational analysis, outright prevention or cure may not be the be-all and end-all. The research led by Bruce Lee, professor of health policy and management at City University of New York, suggests that a vaccine or viral treatment that can shorten the infectious period of COVID-19 by just half a day for 25% of confirmed cases could avert up to 1.4 million infections and more than 99,000 hospitalizations. According to Australia's COVID-19 vaccine roadmap released last week, priority population groups, including GPs, are set to receive the Pfizer BioNTech candidate, which has an efficiency rate of 95%. The majority of the population, however, will receive the University of Oxford AstraZeneca candidate, which, based on current data, has an efficiency rate of 70%. The modeling would suggest a lower efficacy rate could still have significant benefits in curbing the pandemic, but it may take longer to achieve the end goal of elimination, according to Professor McIntyre. It is important that people understand that vaccination is absolutely important, but also that it's not a panacea. WHO urges fully vaccinated people to continue wearing the mask. Need for both first jab and the booster jab. When the immune system first encounters a vaccine, it activates white blood cell plasma B cells, which forms antibodies that are short-lived. Unless you get the second booster, B cells and the memory B cells may decline.
Which we refer to as the Delta variant, is now becoming more and more dominant in the country. It's close to 60% overall in the country, and in certain regions of the country, it's over 70%. The issue with the variant is that it has a much greater capability of spreading from person to person. There's no question about that. So if you have this virus circulating, it's much more likely to spread efficiently. And that's what we are seeing, particularly among unvaccinated individuals. Vaccinated people are generally protected from infection, not completely, because remember, the vaccine trials that showed the efficacy of the vaccines were based on the ability to prevent clinically apparent disease. The one thing this vaccine still does very well with this variant, it protects you against severe disease that might lead to hospitalization and death. So what we're seeing now in this country is a significant uptick in infections, particularly in those areas of the country, those states, cities, regions, counties that have a very low level of vaccination. Whereas in contrast, in those areas with a higher level of vaccination, we're seeing less of an uptick. But among unvaccinated people, that's a significant risk. And that's the reason why we are practically pleading with people to please, if you're not vaccinated yet, seriously consider getting vaccinated, because this is a nasty virus, particularly if you're unvaccinated.
Need for a third dose of vaccine. Researchers say it is too early to know whether the third booster may be required after 6 to 12 months. As the Delta variant spreads rapidly throughout the world, the prospect of a third booster shot is gaining interest, even in nations where a large proportion of people are vaccinated. Hope this video talk was comprehensive and useful. Have both jabs, stay safe, keep wearing the mask and the social distance. Until we meet again, bye for now.